Welcome to the Explosive Streak Podcast with Jared Bidney. Today's episode, I have one of my online clients with me. He flew all the way here from Washington. His name's Joseph Villa, and we're just going to get into his training and his experience training with me remotely, and we'll just see how it goes. Joseph, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's start off. How did you find out about me?
I found out about you through Instagram. I had actually just gotten Instagram, I think, and I was just following people for strength and conditioning and stuff like that. It's really hard to navigate the waters with that stuff because there's so many different coaches out there and so many different methods for athletic performance and things like that. And you popped, I think someone shared what you had posted or something like that about squatting with the Tendo unit. And it just looked interesting, so I was reading it, and the name Explosive Mechanics sounded kind of cool, so I just checked out your page, and I saw home of the dumbbell jumps, and I was like, oh, what's that? And then I just, as you go down and you see the page, the thing that stuck out to me the most was the amount of kids who were like, you had 12, 15-year-olds, really young athletes that were jumping really, really good numbers. And not only the fact that they were so young, but the fact that every athlete, everything was tracked. It wasn't like just a video of them doing a drill or a video of them dunking. It was like their actual vertical jump, their actual bench press numbers and their match. And so it was like undeniable results and things like that. And that's when I saw that, that's when I instantly knew that there was something different and something special about whatever was going on down here.
Yeah, you bought the jump book first, right?
Yeah, I bought the jump book because there wasn't any online training or anything like that there.
At the time, yeah.
And I definitely, that's the first thing I thought. I go, man, hopefully this guy has a book or something online or something like that to just learn about whatever he's doing there. And I saw the jump book, so I go, oh, perfect. I'm going to read it. I saw the price on it. I was like, oh man, that's a lot more than I thought. But I didn't really it was an impulsive buy, but at the same time, it definitely ended up working out. And the book is definitely worth the read. Really good information in there.
It's real thin, and I try to make it real thin, just kind of straight to the point, no fluff, no BS. You can read it. You can read it twice in one day.
Yeah, I read it in one night, and it's very straight to the point. But that's also really good. There's no trickery or BS in there. It's all straight to the point. Tells you what you need to know. And if you do everything in the book, you're definitely going to jump higher. That's for sure. Guaranteed.
Yeah, and it just allows you to pick out your weight for you, and try to learn when to change, how to change, and all that stuff. It's a little bit more detailed. And the hardest thing, I still get a lot of questions nowadays from people that have bought the book, like with the jump. So I'll come out with a second edition. It's going to have a little bit more. It's going to talk more about the brief maximum tension method, and it's going to talk more about some of the strength aspects, but not necessarily the strength programming.
Yeah.
And it's going to go and cover more of the questions that I've got through the past years as to when it's actually come out. And this year, it's sold out online right now just because I'm waiting for me whether I want to do the second edition or not. And you see how busy the gym is.
Yeah, it's busy. It's not a lie about that. It's busy here. Every day is busy.
Yeah. Were you surprised about the amount of people?
I guess I wasn't. It was somewhat suspected, I guess, but it's just different when you see it in person. You see how much work goes into it, and like Jared, he's not lying when he says he doesn't have a bunch of coaches here. It's just him. So it's like he's got all these athletes in here. He's got little kids in here. He's got professional athletes in here, college, and so
we're all intermixed together.
Yeah, which is good. That definitely is.
Because you can see the little guys are grinding just as hard as the big guys, and the little guys look up to the big guys, but the big guys or the stronger guys that's been here the longest appreciate the younger guys too. Yeah, because they know they've been there before. Yeah,
for sure, and even the younger guys being around you definitely will motivate you just as much because they're looking up to you and they want to see you do big stuff and hit big numbers, and you don't want to let them down. You want to show them how to do it.
Yeah, how would you describe the culture of the gym? As far as you were saying, man, You couldn't believe that girl.
Yeah.
I think I had a
Delilah.
Well, you got Delilah, and I also had Peyton in the back.
Peyton,
He thought she was going to bench 135 for one rep. She ended up doing it for 11.
Yeah, he told me, he said, watch, she's going to get 135 for 12. And I was thinking she maybe get 1 to 3, and he's just telling her that to kind of hype her up. And then, no, she knocked out 11 reps. I couldn't believe it. That was like my first day here. And that was one of the big turning points when I saw that I was like, wow, okay. They're definitely, all the athletes here, all the kids, they're all good kids, and they come in, they get their folder, they do exactly what's on their folder. Everyone's training hard, everyone's training intense, everyone's trying to, every day it's a daily routine here of what they're doing, and they're all on the same page. It's not like you have everyone doing a bunch of different programs and stuff like that. They're all on the same program, same goals. Everyone's trying to be a better athlete, and I think that it all comes together in like a perfect
Yes, it's more of a community here. Like everybody goes and jumps together.
Yep, yeah.
They're squatting, and so they kind of will create their own inner competition with their own pod, so to speak, because you got different age groups and stuff. So they're all it's almost like a working cell.
Yeah, squatting, how they squat on the Tendo, on the safety bar over there with the Tendo, that's big too.
That's your first time experiencing that. We got Joseph. Yeah. What was your starting squat when we started the online training? Do you remember?
I do. I remember. So I could do, right when I started, I was able to do 395 for one, but that was with a belt, and that wasn't onto a box. And I was like wide stance, all of that. And I remember you called me up, and you got right to the point. You're like, okay, if you want to increase your vertical, keep your feet together. You got to take the belt off, no wraps, no nothing, and we're doing the bot squats. And so I don't know what my max was on the bots when we switched to that, but it was not 395, I'll tell you that. I was doing sets with like 295, and they were real hard. And then, Tuesday we did 500.
So after about a year of training, you went from less than 300, or right around 300.
Yeah, right around 300 probably, yeah.
So 500 with no belt.
Yep, no belt, yeah. Yeah, that was, there was plenty of times, I'm doing the online training where Jared would, I'd hit a PR or something, and he'd be like, okay, next, 400 coming soon, or whatever coming soon, and I just looked at the test and be like, okay, I don't know about that. I'd be like, I was going to take a lot longer than that, but the way you wave everything with the intensities and with the numbers, it's like, it just works.
Was there some days you thought you wouldn't? I would send you something, and you're like, "Are you kidding me?"
Oh, 100%. There was multiple times. I remember one time we did with 405 on the box. I remember it was like day one was 4x4, then it was 4x5, and then a 5x5. And I remember I saw that, and I'm like, okay, I don't, but you don't want to say, oh, I can't do that, so you just go ahead and try it, but it ends up working. And that's the thing. There was a kid here yesterday who was talking about it. He was saying like, oh, today's a light day. Like, it's been light pretty, like, usually. And this other kid said, and I agreed with him, he goes, yeah, but that's how it is. It seems like that right now. And then it's just going to get heavy all of a sudden. And you're going to be like, oh, where are the light days at?
You can start questioning life again.
Yeah. No, it definitely heats up, but it definitely works. My squat, I got videos from when I started and when I go now, and it's like just the consistency and hitting all the sets and reps, or trying your best to hit the sets and reps, is what just does it over time, and I think just those strength gains.
What about when you started? You were about 170 pounds.
Yeah, I was 176. So I was like 175, 176.
And now, what'd you weigh in the other day?
Like 196.
And you went from a 28.5-inch vertical, 28.5, to a 40.1?
Yes, sir, yeah. I know. I did not think, like, when I started, I thought that, I would maybe have to lose 5 pounds or whatnot, and I was still really, really lean. And, I ended up gaining weight, gaining a lot of muscle and things like that, but still jumping higher. And then that's really when I saw, like, the value of, like, how much of a better athlete you become when you're much more explosive, not just strong, like you talked about being like a meathead, but actually being bigger, but then jumping higher, running faster, all of that.
Yeah, all the athletic measurables.
Yeah, at a higher body weight, that's what really does it.
Yeah, I had a kid last year. He went from weighing 177 pounds to weighing 205 pounds. So he had a 20, I think I brought his folder over here so I wouldn't mess up these numbers.
28 pounds.
He went from 177 to 205 body weight.
Wow.
And his vertical went from a 32-inch vertical to a 37-inch vertical in that short time frame with a 28-pound weight gain.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, if you had told me that before I met you, I would think that, there must be something that you're missing or that you're exaggerating it. But being here, all the kids, they're like that. Like they'll say, they're all telling me, I gained 10 pounds, this and that, and my vertical, and you see it. It's not like they're just saying it. They're saying it. They weigh in, they have the scale, and then they go and they jump higher. It's no.
Yeah, and you thought it was pretty interesting how, like on the back of the folders, I don't have to go look at any software or anything like that. I can just pull out the back of the folder. Like this kid, his first month was a 185. His second month was a 210 on the bench. The next month it was a 250.
Yeah.
The next month it was 275. The next month was 295, and the gains just keep kind of coming.
Yeah, the gains just keep coming. You have everything just really dialed in. That's what I would really just describe it as. You describe it just everything here is just dialed in. All the programming, the kids, everything's just, they have a method. It's kind of like you've talked about even before, like with me, it's just a lot of it's the same stuff over and over again. It's not like, they're doing a bunch of real crazy fancy stuff, but it's just the same things, and the kids, they all work hard at it. Every time they're here, they're trying to beat their jumps, they're trying to beat their numbers on the Tendo, which is huge, and that's really what does it.
And we talked about having athletes around too, like when you got your 40-inch vertical.
Yeah, that was
the environment really helps too, because everybody sees everybody's working towards something.
Yeah,
and they come over and try to cheer you on and let's get it. You got this, and they crank up the music, change songs and things like that. We try to manipulate it into a way to where we try to push that envelope. So now we've pushed that envelope. So if your max vertical is a 33, and you got that in a super heightened environment, you got to come in and beat that 33.
Yeah, no, you definitely. That's how it goes. I mean,
chasing numbers all the time.
It is. Yeah, having the people around is huge. I could definitely say firsthand that because I was training online, that was something that I didn't really want to think about too much because I didn't have that. So I didn't want to let it get into my head. So I just kind of tried to.
Yeah, you were in your basement a lot of times squatting by yourself, and I saw you put your own safeties up.
Eventually, At first, I didn't have them, and then I remember once I hit the 405, I was like, okay, I'm gonna need safeties. I'm like, this is gonna get serious. So I put some safeties up, and the squats weren't. I think they were. It was doable to do by myself. At this point now, with how strong I am, I don't think I would want to do it alone. Like, even back home now, I have a gym where there's other people squatting and stuff, so it makes it doable. Just like when I hit the 500 the other day, that was a week after. Just remember last week we did like a light week.
Because your quad.
Yeah, so usually you'd have me do like that heavy day and then have the weekend off and then max. And then this time was different. And I remember I was warming up, and it just kind of felt heavy.
Well, the boxes here are different too.
Yeah, the pad. The pad is different. The pad here is the old generation, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was that's the difference. This pad this one sinks in. It's not. It's if people want to say like, oh, that doesn't count. The pad is up. Go zoom in on the video. That pad goes right down to like the size of a penny.
You can feel that box when you sink.
You sink. Literally, how he talks about when you sink into a couch cushion. That's exactly how it feels when you squat. Like when I squatted, even before the 500, when I was doing, I don't know, was it like it was when I hit 450. I was like, okay, I gotta really lock in for the 500. But then having the people around really helps. I had a lot of the kids around, stuff like that. So
can't look bad for the young ones.
No, you can't. Yeah, because they all want to see you do good. They want to see, and in a way, it's like Danny, like he's young and he's like, oh, I've only been here for a month. It's like, you want to show him like, hey, this stuff works, kind of thing. And
he
gets
works.
to see that.
Yeah, he works really hard.
He works. Yeah, he's
That's one of the first people you asked me about.
Yeah, he's incredible.
And I saw that from about day 1 or day 2 with him. You could see even like Delilah how super strong she is.
Yeah. if they keep coming and just working like that, I mean, they're gonna just break all sorts of records and be unstoppable in their sport.
Yeah, it's whether you get the opportunity to have them long enough.
Exactly. That's really what it comes down to. Because I mean, like with me, and I was fortunate. It's like you talked about, with everything happens for a reason and stuff like that. I'm fortunate enough to where in the year that we were training, I didn't have anything happen to where I had to miss a day or something like that.
Yeah, you were always really consistent.
Yeah, and that, and a lot of that, there could have been an emergency or something where I had that, but thankfully there wasn't. And I mean, I saw how when you just stay consistent, and there's plenty of days that were bad days, or you think they're bad days or whatnot, but just giving that effort of just trying to think, okay, I'm gonna beat my numbers, I'm gonna on bench, the 5x5s or whatever. You're like,
everybody talks about that in here.
Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna get this set of 5 no matter what, kind of thing.
And we don't ramp up to it. We get to a heavy weight and we are stuck with it.
Yeah, that's a huge. I remember that was like, I think that was probably the first thing when I got the first week of training, because that was when we were writing out the week. And I remember I saw it and I was like, what the heck? I'm like, this is
There's
weird.
no back off.
No. I was like, this looks different than anything I'd ever seen. But you just have to put the trust. And I mean, if I'm not a testament, if someone else is, you just got to go look at the results. And that's really what separates here from other places. Is you see here they have results, they have kids, they have every level documented. It's not like he's just taking someone that looks strong and says, hey, this guy's really strong, do what I'm doing. He'll pull out the folder and he'll show you.
Yeah, where they came from. Like, check out this guy right here. This guy he started off with a 160 bench. The next month was a 195 bench. The next month was a 210 bench. The next month was a 225 bench.
Yeah.
And he went from running a 5.540 to running a 5.2 40-yard dash. He went from jumping a 27-inch vertical to jumping a 32.9-inch vertical. I don't have it recorded down here.
Yeah.
But then he went from 153 body weight to 167.
Yeah, that's the kicker.
We're heavier, but we're able to move. We're able to sprint faster. We're able to jump higher.
Yeah, because you're improving the ratio. It's not like when people are like, when I gained that body weight, it's not like, okay, I squatted whatever ratio when I started, that you gain 5 pounds and you squat 5 more pounds. It's like they're gaining 10 pounds and they're squatting like 50 more pounds per that, whatever that be, and then that's why they're getting so.
Yeah, so I'm not making these kids faster by lightening them up. I'm making them more of a unit, especially if you're playing football. If you're running against that mass, that extra mass, now that extra mass has got extra speed.
Yeah,
you just put a different animal on. Like, I got a kid named
100%.
Owen. Owen's out in Oregon. Yeah. And he's going to bench hopefully close to 315 as a freshman. And when he started with me last year, he was a 170 bencher.
Wow.
And have
170.
170, I think, was his max. And we should be at 315. He's right at 270 right now.
Man.
For a young kid.
That's real good.
For a ninth grader, he was repping out 250 for sets of 3 the other day.
Yeah,
as a high school freshman, and he don't weigh. I wish I knew Owen's body weight, but he don't weigh a whole lot either. A lot of these kids are not heavy.
No,
that are super strong.
Nope. Yeah, everybody's and if they are heavy, they're gonna be putting on a lot of weight on that bar. It's not gonna be something little. Like the kid you were just talking about from Oregon. I mean, yes, like those kind of people, if they.
And he's been with it for a year. Now, I'll get some people that sign up for online to do like 1 or 2 months and they're done.
Yeah.
You can't really get great. You can see something, but it's.
Yeah.
How would you describe you tried to figure out the number system?
What do you mean?
Like, you're trying to figure out, like, what's he going to call next?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is almost fun in a way to try to figure out, like, think about what's going to happen next. But the reality is you never know. I mean, through the year that I've trained with you, there's a few times I might have got it kind of right, but there's more times than not that I was completely blindsided with whatever the numbers would be. And but it ends up working. It always ends up working, and you just have to have the faith. But it's easy to have faith when you're seeing yourself progress and becoming more explosive at a really fast rate. It's easy to just kind of let go and just be like, all right.
What did we get your incline to?
315.
315.
Yeah. Yeah, that was...
What was your starting bench max? Do you remember?
Starting bench match, I do remember, was 295.
295?
Yeah,
And you got your incline.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was... The bench was like... The incline bench... The reason we started, I don't know if you remember with incline, was because my pec, I thought I was going to tear it.
Yeah, we switched up the angle.
Yeah, we that was when I still was pretty light, and I was like, I think we hit like 340 or 330 or something on flat bench, and then we were doing pause and we started doing touch and go, and I remember I started feeling this like tearing sensation, and one day I just go, okay, I don't, if I do another rep, something's gonna happen. And I tested you tested back literally immediately. You're like, okay, we're gonna talk about it. The next day we talked, okay, we're gonna switch to incline, medium grip incline. We started doing that, and I remember we hit 275 on the incline after only like a little bit, and I thought we were gonna be done. I thought like, okay, we're gonna go back to flat, and you go, okay, that's what I was talking about earlier when you said, okay, 300, here we come. I go, 300. I go, that's pretty heavy. And then we hit 300 like literally really quick after that.
About 6 weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah, something crazy. I remember the jump from 275 to 300 was really fast. Like really surprising.
Yeah, there's no plateaus in the training.
No.
And then, like old school days, you're like, hey, when are you going to plateau? The gains just keep coming.
Yeah, they do. They literally do. I mean, I have videos. It's not and it's like we hit 300, and then I remember we did like that was kind of cool. I remember we went back down to like 230 and stuff, and we were doing like sets of 9, which I didn't think. I was like sets of 9 with 230, and then like literally a few weeks after that, just hit 315. It just comes, and then I was like, oh my god! And that one moves smooth.
Some of the light days I give you don't even make sense.
No, and that's where it's like, yeah, I wouldn't even try to be like, okay, I got it. Yeah, I'll figure out how to wave it. I don't know how you do it. I don't know what. I don't know what
that's why. That's why it's just me in here.
Yeah.
Emily, that helps, but she's kind of just because before Joseph got here, I go ahead and I write in everybody's folder what I want them to bench today. Like this kid right here, he's 14 years old. He's got 225, 4 sets of 3. And he started with me last October, and he skipped June, July, and August, and then come back to November. You see that? You see on the back of 4 it says 524 to 1124, and so with him missing football season, within about a year later, he's now repping 125. He's now repping 225 for sets of 3. The other day he did 210, 2 sets of 3, and 225, 2 sets of 3, and he got all of his reps.
Oh, was that
Trey?
Yeah, it was Trey. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Last year his max was literally 125. Now he's repping 225.
Yeah,
as a high school freshman.
Yeah, no, he's real strong. I literally saw the numbers he said firsthand here when he hit that. And that's the other thing that's so crazy about here is like the kids, they're hitting these really big numbers, but they're like really humble because they don't. But it's because
everybody in here is strong.
Yeah.
They don't realize that they're strong. You said if they went to your gym, everybody stopped watching lift.
Yeah.
Especially like Niles squatting that 355 the other day. In the mono lift.
Oh yeah. No, that was 455.
Oh well, you had Zachary do that too.
Yeah. All of them. Yeah, there's so many.
Everybody's so strong that in the gym you feel weak.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of that's why like when you come in and say something to them, they don't really realize how good don't realize how good they are until they get outside.
Yeah, because this is a competitive gym, and that helps the environment. Like even yesterday, I remember because I did the squats first, and you had me trying to chase Dorsey's numbers. SSB was killing me, and I remember I'd go do the dumbbell jumps, and they started to go down. I put my shoes on, like, okay, I'm going to be done with these. I did the jumps, and then they had those 1-2 kids that were here for the pro day or whatever they're getting ready for. Mm-hmm. And I started doing some jumps with them, but just even having people around you, and then they'd kind of go up again because it literally is the people around you. Like, it really helps. The environment is really, really big. It can't be discounted. It's a very
how much harder was that safety squat bar than you thought it was going to be?
A lot harder. I think in general, because I have done safety squat in the past, like years ago, and I do remember it was just a regular safety squat bar, a lot harder than straight bar. That one is even harder than a safety squat bar.
Yeah, because
regular
I
safety
had
squat
mine
bar.
specially made.
Yeah, that one is a lot harder. It's like it's tricky because you'll do, like when I was doing the 2 sets of 5, like the first rep it doesn't move that bad, and then the set kind of like a normal set of 5, and then that 5th one just really pushes you. Like you really have to.
Your eyes turn real red. You're almost dying to get that 5th rep.
Yeah, you have to really brace. But I mean, that's. I imagine if you did that for a while and you went back to straight bar, you'd be a lot more upright.
What was do you remember your speed numbers yesterday?
Yeah.
Did I bring your folder over here?
If you have it,
I do not have your folder.
I
over
do
here.
remember though that I hit.
You don't. A lot of people hear me talk because I based the ratio off that 0.6.
Yeah.
And we did this whole year training with Tendo with you.
Yeah. No, that is interesting. I definitely. That is interesting. Do you think that, because I wasn't doing anything with my 40-yard dash, do you think that like for the vertical, it how much of an impact do you think the Tendo has on that?
I just think it changes the game of squatting because you're chasing, you're looking at those numbers, and it takes some of the monotony out of the squat because you're seeing those numbers on the Tendo.
Yeah, it does. It makes the squat session different. It definitely, a squat session with the Tendo does feel a lot different than a regular squat session.
You said it was made such a difference yesterday when you squatted with safe squat bar with Dorsey and them.
Yeah.
You went and bought one.
Yeah,
you went ahead and ordered it online. Hopefully it's there when you get back home.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. It definitely makes the session different, and that's a really good way to say it. Like it doesn't feel like a squat session. It feels like kind of like doing the jumps or something else.
It's almost like a game because you're watching those numbers and you're trying to chase those numbers on the Tendo and you forget about the squat.
Yeah, it definitely makes it different. I definitely see how it can. You know what? And maybe it just maybe had I been using the Tendo, because you never know, I could have hit that faster, some of those numbers. But yeah, I wasn't. I mean, it makes a difference. I remember like when I would do sets of 5, they were real heavy before. I was more so thinking of just getting through the set of like, I got to get this set of 5. With the Tendo, you almost, at least I only did it one time, was thinking more of the number on the Tendo rather than the actual set number.
You're trying to push the rep harder now.
Yeah.
So instead of just getting through the set of 5, you're trying to do each rep within that set of 5 with maximum effort.
Yeah, and I've tried to do, before I was training with Jared, I tried to do like speed squats where like you go down and I tried to do them with like moderate, heavy, or even lightweight, and you just try to like accelerate the bar, and it's not that, if you don't, the Tendo makes it like effortlessly to do that because you're seeing the number every rep, and so you see it and you go, oh, okay, I could beat that, and you try, even when you're tired, you try to get. I do remember that I got 365 for a 0.55, and then on 405 I got a 0.4445, and I think on 425 I think I got a 0.4. I don't know though. I'd have to get the folder. But 405 for sure I got that one. But yeah, no, it makes it way, because you're trying to, like you said, each rep. You're trying to. Oh yeah, that's a good way to say it. Instead of beating the set, you're like focusing on each rep. So it changes the game for sure.
Yeah. What about you were telling me the other day, like you were talking to someone that knew Ripto, right?
Yeah.
And they said you can't improve your vertical. It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, if you just type in Ripto vertical, you're going to see a lot of stuff about that. And yeah.
But that's what a belted low bar squat.
Different.
So if you have a belted squat, that's going to assist. And if you got a low bar, it's going to change your mechanical advantage to where it's more hip drive, less leg drive.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to sprint at a short distance, or if you're trying to jump maximally, you're going to have more leg drive than you are going to have hip drive.
Yeah, 100%.
And so with the squatting, at least with no belt, you learn how to brace yourself.
Yeah.
And for all these athletes, they don't squat with a belt on in here.
Yeah, and there's no belts here.
And so what you'll see is a kid came in day one and brought a belt. I said, "You're not using that." He goes, "But I'm going to squat." I said, "No." I said, "That belt is bracing for you."
Yeah.
And if you got something bracing for you, what do you got bracing for you in the middle of a game?
No, yeah. Yeah.
And he just looked at me. I said, "Look, you got to learn how to get your structure built better." And said, if you're relying on that belt to brace you and you don't learn how to brace yourself, and you have a high impact collision in football, you could be done.
Yeah.
And so that's why we don't use belts. And we will use a belt if we go to a competition, but that's because we're trying to get the maximum number at that competition. Besides that, who cares? We're going to try to if we're going to go set a state record at a competition, we're going to try to make that number as high as possible so no one hopefully beats that record. But in the gym, we're chasing these athletic numbers, which is a little different realm of how we're going to do.
No, that makes perfect sense. And like, squatting without a belt is a game changer for making your core and your lower back stronger.
Yeah, because your back was rounding when we were starting.
Yes.
Then now it's flattened out. Now we went to the safety squat for it, tried to do it. Yeah. But overall, your muscularity is a lot higher too.
Yeah, Jared. So when I first started training, when he had me doing squats, when it started getting heavy, I mean, my back would literally round like. As soon as we do a 5x5, it would round every single rep at the top for like, and it felt like a long time, but it might have not been forever. But I just thought that was just how it was going to be. And then one day it just didn't do that. I just started squatting straight upright. And, it's just what he said. And like, but I was wearing no belt that whole time. And just eventually you just kind of learn to brace really hard and to keep yourself rigid and then explode up. And then now the new challenge is to do that with the safety squat bar, to be like that. I saw Dorsey, that was impressive.
Straight.
He's straight up with that bar kind of thing. So that was pretty good.
And before he went to Harvard, he was able to move 450 or 455 at a 6.
That's crazy.
That'd be crazy to see him, because right now he left with a 480 bench and he came back with a 405 bench.
Yeah.
And just, it'd be nice to see how stuff moved when he was at that point. But being he's in the Ivy League school, at least we got 6 weeks before he gets back to school to be able to push those numbers a little higher.
Right.
Or hopefully just get him back to where they were, close to where he was.
Yeah.
He broke the vertical record at Harvard as
Really?
Yep. As a freshman. So, I mean, that's pretty.
Yeah.
That should say something on itself. And I think he started off here at a 23-inch vertical.
Wow. That's crazy improvement. That's like 20 inches improvement.
Yeah, and he went from a 90-pound bench, started off with a 90-pound bench and went all the way up to 480.
Yeah, the 480 was crazy. I remember when you posted that, I was like, that was crazy to see. It's almost 500 pounds. That's a lot of weight.
Actually, my record's 500. He put 502 on the bar just so he could beat me by 2 pounds.
Yeah.
So he did attempt it, but it was not very successful.
Yeah. 500 is a crazy amount to bench press.
Especially for a high school kid.
Yeah. Anybody benching 500 pounds, I mean, that's a lot of weight. And then, like a high school kid doing that, it's a lot.
Do you have any questions or anything?
Yeah, I did. I have some written down here. One of the questions I said I had was when you were like, and kind of got to some like reading your books and stuff like that, like, and you said you were like doing a lot of that reading yourself, all these various books. When did you know, or like what clicked that you knew that you were starting to have it all figured out with like improving the kids' athleticism?
When I knew squatting was important when I had a kid go from running a 5.2 to a 4.8 40, but his front squat went from a 245 to a 365 front squat in about 3 months.
Dang.
And so at that time I was reading Science of Sports Training. It said squat is specific to sprinting because it directly improves sprint performance. Then you read another article, the athletes that squat 2.1 times body weight were significantly faster than athletes that squat 1.9. And so then I was reading something, I saw something that said characteristics of elite shot putters. A characteristic of elite shot putter, bench press is correlated with shot put. And so the elite shot putters were benching over 500 pounds. And so I said, well, what's a characteristic of an elite sprinter? And an elite sprinter is 2.5 times body weight. So I knew we had to get, at that point, I knew we had to get their relative strength up.
Yeah.
And so if they gained body weight, we had to make sure that our strength increases were outpacing our weight gain.
Yeah.
And so I knew that we could sprint faster with that. Now, once it was about 2012, so we're about 12 years removed. I saw this kid. He landed. This kid was not athletic. He had like a 19-inch vertical when he started, and he stepped off a 30-inch box, to a depth jump off a 30-inch box. He landed and he jumped high. And I don't know if I filmed it or I took a picture of it at that time. When he landed and he jumped, his jump mat read 33 inches, and he was higher than that mat. So that was the most amazing thing, because I've never seen that ground clearance before.
Yeah.
So he was higher than the box. I said, holy cow. And then I had another female at that time jump 30 inches. And
yeah,
so,
that's good, yeah.
And so I was, the female, 30 inches for females, the male 40. And so my gym record for females, 33. And so, but a lot of my females will just skip it, because I don't make anybody do anything.
Yeah.
It's not ran like a military style. It's not ran like a high school. It's not ran like a college. I let everybody take as much time as they need for their bench sets, for their squat sets. I don't care, as long as they get better. I'm not here to make it easier and more efficient for me. I'm trying to just make everybody that comes in here better.
Right.
And so I don't want to hold anybody's gains back. I need to be able to talk about their folder. I need to be able to talk about these numbers to show if you do things right, these things will improve.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like Groundhog Day. It's the same stuff a lot over. And Jared, when's this going to change?
No, yeah, but that's the key, is the consistency, for sure. I had another one kind of leading into that, since you mentioned it. You were talking about, and we actually talked about that, like the Tendo unit and using that, and you said it's more like a thing for the squats. I know you have everything with like I even was asking you yesterday. I was like, if you do a Tendo, if you do 1 point this times your body weight, what's your 40? And you knew like every single one. Do you have anything like that for squats with vertical jump? Or
I get that. I did have it at one point. I had it more narrowed down to what that would be. But it can vary, because you have some kids that are naturally athletic and able to jump high,
right,
with no squat strength. And so you got the same thing for their sprinting ability. But even some kids that have high-end sprinting ability, for some reason that squat ratio still pegs what their strength ability is. But with the jumping ability, it's not like a 1.7 times body weight squat's going to be a 4.740 R dash. If it's not, if you're squatting 1 point something times your body weight, 1.7 something, and you're not running a 4.740, then I know squatting is not the answer. And so all I did was trying to create the ratio, because with the box height, if you got the box height, and I'll talk about this. I could do a podcast while we box squat. I'm going to redo that and talk about how I came up with the box height and why I do this and why I do that. And just to show, it's not, hey, I started off day one, did this. It's kind of evolved over time.
Yeah.
And so I've had kids that had come in and had like a 38-inch vertical. Then I have still, they're 38 inches with that natural ability, so it's going to be easier to get them to 40. But then those kids that can have like a high squat strength, and their 40 and their vertical can be real low too. And it's like just the rate of force development. So that's why you got to have your speed strength activities coupled with your strength speed activities. So two ends of the spectrum. So you got speed strength on the left, and you got strength speed on the right. And so you got to maximize, like what you did yesterday was strength speed.
With the Tendo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so where you were maximizing all your muscular motor recruitment at the end. So when you were dialed in with that Tendo unit, you had maximum discharge of all your motor units at one time. So it was optimal discharge frequency. So you got your fast, your slow, and intermediate, and nervous system working there together to try to create that one movement.
Right.
And so that's how you create more fast fibers. You get the intermediates to migrate more toward the fast side by that high-end stimulus. Then we left that squat, then we went to our jump. Now we sharpened our rate coding, our rate of force development activity. So we was gathering more men, so to speak, over here, and we're now, after we gathered them, we come over here and teach them how to fight.
Okay.
And so then at the end, now we have the strength speed, which is the heavy squat. Now we had the speed strength, which is the dumbbell jumps, which helps sharpen our rate of force development. So you got these people that are super strong, but they can't jump, move, or do anything. It's because they're not doing any type of rate of force development exercise.
Is that why here I noticed like a lot of the kids do their jumps after the squats always, and then they say on test week they do the jumps?
We don't squat on test week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the test week, we'll test the 40, the vertical, the broad, and the bench. And sometimes, if the squat's working, I'm not trying to let them max, because as long as it's working in the right direction, I kind of always have an idea where that weight is.
Yeah.
I try not to waste a squat day, because we already wasted a squat day by testing that sprint on that one day.
Right. Okay.
So I'm trying to knock out as many squat days as I can. So if you squat max, a max is just a test of your ability.
Yeah.
And so if I can know where you are and that squat is showing up in the vertical jump and the 40-yard dash, I'd rather just get another squat session in instead of test the squat.
Okay. That makes sense. Yes, I did notice that, because I remember.
And the reason, now I do have some kids that will jump in between their squats.
Yeah.
Like Danny jumps in between his squats.
Yeah.
But he's new. But on the folder it says to do that.
Right.
But as you become more advanced, like Dorsey and all those guys, they squatted and they went and jumped.
Yeah, even to the braid, some of them, I noticed like a little braid before, which helps, because I remember that happened with me when I first started, like my jumps, I was beating them like all the time. And then they started to go down, but it was because I kept doing them in between. And that's when we started getting real heavy on the squats. And some of those sets of 5, after that set of 5 is like, it just kills you kind of thing. And it's real hard to beat the jump. But then when I did them after or did them before or something like that, it just started going up again.
Yeah, and I tell my people like you've had a lot of different online, because the way I write stuff for the online stuff, we just got to kind of figure out a pattern for you. Then how we changed your jumps toward
the first. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've waved around to just try to figure out which works best for you, and that's kind of what I've done in here with the kids.
Yeah.
That's why some of them jump in between, some of them jump after. Some kids, heck, even jump before.
Yeah, that's what I was doing, yeah.
And so as long as they're jumping and chasing that number and beating that number, if they like to do that before they squat, by all means, go do that before you squat.
Yeah.
If, like Danny right now likes to do it in between the squats, as he becomes more of an advanced jumper, he'll probably end up doing them after.
Yeah, and I like what you just said about that, where it's like it really just matters about chasing that number, and however you do it, that's kind of a big theme of the gym here too. Besides the dialed-in thing, is like Jared was saying, he's not over here being a military sergeant with stuff and like bossing everyone around, say, hey, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. There's a real theme of this gym of like everything works itself out. And so like, and I learned that from training online, because there were times where I would think like, oh man, what's going on, but it all ended up working out, and every asset. Yeah,
you're able to hit numbers that you thought you wouldn't even possible to do.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to hit 40 for sure. I was like, oh, okay, my first goal was just to see. I was like, okay, if I can get what my vertical was to start with the dumbbells, I'll know that this really, really works. And I did that like way faster than I thought. And then
it's amazing how much those dumbbell jumps help.
The dumbbell jumps help a lot, and it's literally what you just said. You have to, when you do them, you have to think of it as like every jump you're gonna jump your highest, and it's kind of the jump mat is the same as the Tendo unit, in the sense that it's like, if you jump without the jump mat, you may think you're jumping high. So there's times I'd be on the mat and I'm like, ooh, that was a high jump, but it's not. And the number doesn't lie on that for sure. And so you're chasing the
I think
progress.
That's the big thing. I get everybody to chase numbers, like you tread sled, chase a number on the tread sled, chase a number on the Tendo unit, chase a number on the jump. And for the most part, the bench is a little bit harder because
bench is
so people are missing reps, but that's what I like to see them miss reps, because I know that if I see them missing reps on their bench, I know they're getting better. They feel like they're not getting better, but because they're missing. But when you test, like I had this one kid right here, he's home. He started off at a 315 bench. The next month was a 360, and last month was a 380.
Wow, that is
And his look over here to where 340, he got 322.
Yeah,
and. One of them's got 4s, he got 3s here. So he didn't have some of these notes dialed in over here on this side, but you see he was missing reps. And so by them missing reps, he thought he was not going to do any better.
Yeah.
But he went from 315 to 360 to 380, and hopefully we get to 405 this month, real quick.
Yeah, no, that's really true, is when I look back, especially when I hit the 315 incline, like, the 90 days before that, if I went back and looked at all my numbers, I missed reps like every time kind of thing. But then you see like how Jared's talking about, your max is going up 275, 290, 300. It's going up, but you're missing.
You feel like you're not getting better because you're missing the reps.
Yeah.
But for the bench, for some reason, it's got to be stressed a little bit more than the squat. The squat kind of just rides along a little bit more smooth. It's still hard.
Yeah.
But it's not as brutal as the bench.
Yeah. Well, once you told me that and I figured that out, that completely changed my mindset of it, because what I would do is like I changed so like it was at a 5x5, right? I would, like, before when I first started, I mean, you always try to get all 5 sets of 5, but before when I started, I would think like, okay, like if I got like 5, and then 4, 3, or what, and dropped off, I would be like, oh man, like I suck, I missed those reps. And then when you kind of explain that to me about how that works, it's like not only do you try to get the reps even more, because you understand, like, I was trying to tire out all the motor units, right, as you talk about, because I'm thinking like, okay, if I really tire these out, eventually they'll recover and I'll get stronger. And once I started thinking, and then having people around you helps. So I started having, that's another thing, when I hit the 315 on the incline, I started having the spotters there. So I started getting heavier, so people were really watching me do incline.
Then you don't want to look bad in front of all the people.
No, yeah, because when I started incline, I did like 225 for like 2, so no one, it was kind of normal. But then when I started hitting like 275 for reps and stuff, people start noticing, okay, your incline's going up. So every time I was doing incline, people were watching, and then that would really, like, even if it was like a 5x5, and I would go 5, 5, 3. That's 3 sets, right? So those next 2, all of them, I would be like, even if I got 3 and I'm like, this next one is not gonna go, I'd still attempt it to try to just absolutely tire everything out, kind of thing, because you recover from that. And then you're just like Jared will say, like, he'll give you a 5x5, and you'll miss all these reps, and he'll give it to you again. And you're like, oh, and you'll come like, oh, hey, are you sure you put the right thing? And he'll be like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, I had this guy that was in the gym, Clarence. He don't really talk to me a whole lot. He just kind of comes in, does his folder, knocks it out, goes. And I saw him walking across the gym with his folder in his hand. And I go, I know what you're going to say. You missed reps the other day. Why would I do this to you now? He goes, yeah. And I said, just do it. I said, you'll be okay. And he did it. And you couldn't believe that he made all of his reps that day.
Yeah, you just have to have faith, and you just have to try your best and be consistency, and then, but yeah, also the effort. And over time, it works out, and that's with bench, with squat, like how you talked about that. I got the vertical, and I did
You're
that
20 pounds heavier with a 40-inch vertical, and you went up 12 inches.
Yeah, and I did that on the straight bar, because I didn't have that one, and then I didn't have the Tendo. But I just told myself, like, okay, I'm just going to keep.
We got great numbers with average stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that, it's just the methods you have and things like that. That's what I told you at the first day when I was here. Is I was like, they're not doing this anywhere else. Like, it's not.
Yeah, I've had a lot of visitors come through this gym and just to see it. And how does it feel experiencing it?
It's good. I learned a lot. Anyone who comes here will learn a lot. And it's kind of surreal, because you see it online and you're like, wow, these, you think you see it, but then you come here and you're seeing like the amount of kids here, and they're all
they're all strong.
They're all jumping high, running fast.
It's not a few kids. There's a lot of kids.
And you got kids coming from like, there's this one kid, I forgot his name, but he said he was coming from someplace far, and he's like, yeah, he's gonna get me right. I'm like, I know. I'm like, there's no doubt about that.
You got some kids that drive over an hour to get here.
Yeah, he was driving something like that, he said. But it, that just goes to show, kind of thing, that they're
once they kind of realize how hard it is to get the results, they will come from a further distance.
Yeah,
and because especially once you get to the collegiate level, you'll get some of my college guys that come back. They all come back weaker, and they all come back slower. Yeah. They realize that this whole time I've been trying to help them, and they didn't realize the help they were getting because they're so used to this environment.
Yeah.
So, we're starting to get people to pour in. Yeah. So, Joseph, where can people find you at online? You got Instagram?
Yeah, I got Instagram. Yeah, it's Joseph 888 2 underscores. That's my Instagram. That's only place online.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Well, like I said, you came all the way out here from Washington.
Yep, Seattle, Washington. Yeah.
Yeah, all the way across the country to come see this place.
Yep, it's definitely a must see.
And so
For sure.
and he's been training with me for over a year online. And now he came here, and now we got some new goals.
Yeah.
After being here, he went and bought some new toys, so we go home and play with.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Now we got some more gains to get.
Exactly.
Like 600 is possible now for the squat.
Yeah,
it's crazy. To
yeah,
think,
it's crazy to think.
I had kids box squat 625 at 195 pounds.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And jump to 44-inch vertical. So there's still, just because you get to a certain level, you still got more levels you can go. You can take it really almost as far as you want to.
Yeah, for sure.
And so 4 or 5 bench with it in next year.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And so, Joseph, I just want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a client, and thank you for actually coming across the country to visit the place.
Likewise, thanks for having me. Thanks for coaching me. So I appreciate it.
Anyway, you can reach me at Explosive Mac on Twitter, or Explosive Mechanics at Instagram, info@explosivemechanics.com. I don't do a very good job with answering my Instagram stuff. I don't have any notifications. I don't want my phone going off all day. I told Joseph we had to put my phone in cell phone mode today before we did this, so his crap don't keep blowing up. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. And Joseph, thank you again for coming out.
Likewise.
Have a great day.